Tallinn in Estonia to learn about how Estonia has digitalized its public sector, and we've learned that 99% of the public sector has been digitalized, and that people can file their taxes in 3 minutes, and that everyone can sign documents digitally, which is insane and very impressive. But I think the most fascinating thing for me is that Estonia has, ever since gaining independence from the Soviet Union in the 90s, they've been able to build up their entire system from scratch and be able to digitalize themselves and advance so much further than many other countries in the world.
I found the trip really enjoyable, and I think what was very exciting for me was actually learning about the X-Road and Estonia's digital infrastructure, and how e-Estonia is kind of a part of a lot of different political bodies. And what's rather interesting is that the X-Road was built basically because Estonia had nothing. They didn't even have enough money to contract private companies to help them build their internet infrastructure. And so a bunch of developers came together and they built it from scratch completely by themselves, and I found that absolutely insane.
So for me, what was the biggest takeaway is that what I realized that Estonia has been doing this digitalization journey for a really long time, and that makes them like really ahead of this curve, what you will say like a digital maturity index or assessment. So there are some really good best practices that we can learn from them and can use them to apply in other countries. However, we have to keep in mind that they are a really small country, which makes it really easier for them to try this. Irrespective of that, they did some really good things. I think their data governance mechanism is really good, and also very citizen-centric focus, that it doesn't overwhelm them with a lot of options just because it's digitalized. Yeah, we have been thinking like from this story, like how something like this, especially like digitalization, which does not need so many natural resources and can really help a country to grow.
I think on a similar note, I've been amazed by the kind of development that's happened here in Estonia. When you have that political will and that technological advancement, and honestly the sheer necessity of having to build something yourself because you have no money, you can have so much innovation. And I don't know if that's possible in every context, but I think taking that, having that political necessity, that capacity at the bottom, and then also having a trustworthy, I would say like internet positive kind of approach, attitude from society, you can really do so much. And I think I'm from Guyana, so I think in that context, like how can my very tiny country also...
We were thinking actually how this can be implemented or replicated in other small countries to make their economies grow.
Yeah, it would be amazing to reach this kind of level.
I think it was a very interesting trip, and visiting all these places. Like we've been to the Taltech, and we've been also to the Estonian Parliament, and we've seen like how digitalization can be like really applied here and fully. They're investing in so many areas, like especially in AI. That's what we've seen so far, and I think it's pretty interesting, given the small number, of course, of population of the country. But also, what is more interesting is how can this be applicable outside of the scope of Estonia. Like we learned also a lot about the Estonian culture, which facilitates a lot the transition towards like a digital society. And it raises a lot of questions to me, like on how can we move these models maybe to Germany or to bigger countries where it's more complex to apply such concepts.